Is it true that you outbid Beyonce for the Houston Rockets?
No, that is not true. You got to understand, Beyonce is extremely, extremely successful, her and Jay-Z, but I don't think they're at a time in their lives where they would have gone out and paid $2.2 billion for a franchise. And we talked about her being a part of it, and met with her in New York, and her and Jay-Z are just wonderful people. But I had the opportunity to own 100%, so I kind of wanted it to stay that way, and she's welcome anytime she wants to come to Houston.
I was going to say, because if you did outbid her, I wonder if you were still on speaking terms.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
pretty cool. Why is it that you're the sole owner of everything you do?
Because I can. I've been very fortunate that I haven't needed partners, and is it great to own one of the largest privately held companies in America? For sure, and it's worked that way. And when I did go public for 17 years, but when I took it public, I owned 100%, and when I took it private owning 100%.
Are you a control freak?
Not at all. I like to be in control, but I was in control when I was public for 17 years. It makes it easier. Also, when you have partners, you have a huge responsibility, and maybe you're not as on edge sometimes, maybe because you feel a responsibility. Where if it's just you feel like you can do whatever you want to do.
You paid $2.2 billion for the Rockets, but in the book, you said years ago you could have gotten them for $85 million, and you couldn't afford them. I want to know, was it worth the wait?
It was totally worth the wait, and everything works out a certain way for a reason. And remember this: if I would have bought the Rockets for $85 million 25 years ago, when I got outbid by less, maybe I wouldn't have built my huge company that I had today. So today I have it all. And I'm very fortunate, so I'm happy about that.
You have this popular show, $1 Billion Buyer. Here's a $1 billion question: can James Harden and Westbrook coexist?
100%, and the reason is these two guys go back to LA. They grew up together, so they're buddies. Okay. And you can put two people together in their 30s, and if they don't know each other, you're never going to have the same chemistry as two people that grew up together in the same town and have been playing basketball together their whole lives. And so they can look at each other, you can talk to you, just like if you get back with your old buddies. You can talk to each other differently, and you don't get as upset. You don't worry about what you say to them, you just move on.
But the sports pundits, Tilman, say, one needs the ball this much, the other needs the ball this much. This is not going to work.
Well, you got to remember, both of them are going to not play, but about 34 minutes a game, and so there's 14 other minutes, I believe, isn't that right? Yes, that they're not even going to be on the court with each other. But during that time, the James and Westbrook do two different things, and if you really watch the way they play, the way that James does it, and then the way that Westbrook just runs up the court in transition, there's nobody even close to Westbrook in the way his transition game works, and you're going to see them each doing two different things. Sure, at time, when they're bringing the ball down together, how is it going to work? But they've worked through this. They've talked through it. We've all talked through it, and I think it's going to be exciting this year.
I would have loved to have been in on the conversation between you, the boss, and Harden and Westbrook.
I think it's going to be great.
Fellas, play nice. Is that what you told them? All right, so the book is called Shut Up and Listen, Hard Business Truths That'll Help You Succeed. Who came up with the title?
Yeah, that's so weird. Nobody had ever asked me that until today. Believe it or not, we were sitting around my round table in there. We're all talking about it. And I let everybody say whatever. And I think that's one of the reasons I've been successful is I don't think I know it all. I know what I know and what I don't know. And I went, just shut up and listen for a minute, because everybody was talking. And it's something that I'll say every now and then. And somebody said, that would be a great title for the book. And I started thinking about all the people that ask me for advice or want me to mentor them. And you give them advice, but they don't listen, okay? They want the advice. And so it just kind of tells you, and it's a true self-help, business management, book, and that's why it's right now it's one of the top books for Amazon in those categories, because it's a way of life. It's know your numbers. There's no spare customers. It's take no out of your vocabulary. It's be plappy.
So why share that? You got a successful business. Why are you writing about how to be successful?
Because no, anybody that's going to read this book, everybody's a competitor out there. That doesn't bother me. But it even made me go back and realize a lot of the tricks that I've used over the years, and you forget. And yet, as I sat around with friends and family, and we talked about different things I've said, there's always, I had a friend that for the last 20 years that I've done deals with, who's a very successful investment banker. I would be in negotiations, and I would have all these Tilmanisms, he would call them, and he would always write them down. And so when I started to write this book, I said, wait, send me those Tilmanisms. But Harper's came to me. They said they had watched the show. They've seen all my interviews over the years and all the times I'm guest appearing on business shows and sports shows and all the media out there. And they said, we want you to write a business book. They don't want a life story. We want a business book.
The Tilmanisms. In the hospitality business, you say it is free to be nice, costly to be rude, never say no to a customer. When I read that, I thought that seems so obvious. Why do businesses miss that?
I don't know, but it's really the difference of being successful or unsuccessful. It's just like, and I love to use this as an example, but you're out of town on business. You were on a long call. You hang up the phone at 11:02 and you call down to order breakfast, and they say, "I'm sorry, sir, we're not serving breakfast anymore after 11 o'clock." And you say, "Well, wait, I don't want a Spanish omelet. I don't want eggs Benedict. Can we throw a couple eggs in a skillet and just run me up some scrambled eggs?"
Make it happen.
No, sir, we can't do that. We don't serve breakfast anymore. I said, "Well, you're willing to throw something else in that skillet, a hamburger patty. Why don't you just throw me a couple of eggs?" "We don't serve breakfast after 11 o'clock. Okay, why do you say no to a customer? Okay, why? You don't have to say yes all the time, but you don't have to say no, because you could easily say, "Sorry, I can't get you pancakes, but I could throw a couple of eggs in the skillet for you." And so the whole every business we're in is the hospitality business. Okay, everybody, every day, whatever we do, we're all service oriented, and you got to take care of your customer.
You say mistakes can be more effective a teacher than success. So what mistakes has Tilman Fertitta made?
Tilman Fertitta's made so many mistakes, I couldn't even start to name them.
Give me one.
Well, I mean, I've over-negotiated deals and lost them.
What does that mean, over-negotiate?
You try to cut too good of a deal and somebody gets up and walks away and you can't get them back in the room. Or, you just made a bad deal. You just made a bad deal. And I've made plenty of bad deals. I've just always made sure I've made a lot more good deals. But you learn from your mistakes, and I tell people every day, the day you say that there's not a paddle for everybody's behind is the day you're going to be in trouble. And every day I come to work knowing that I better protect myself from that paddle coming down the aisle.
You refer to the paddle in the book. What's the worst paddling you've gotten in business? Can you talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. In the crisis of 08 and 09, I happened to have around $1 billion in debt coming due. And that is when they were talking about the banks shutting down, and it was a wild time. And we got it done, but it was not easy. We were the only person, even on a road show right then, raising debt. It was so tough. And then I go back to the early 80s or the mid 80s when you had the crisis in Texas where every S&L went under and every bank went under, and it's really when I was starting my career. And I lasted before all the banks and got a reprieve from them. I talk about that in the book. For several years.
With no interest.
With no interest, and you didn't have to make a payment or anything. How about that luck? That I outlasted the banks.
I read that and I said, this guy's got a lucky charm. In the book, you talk about the 95-5% ratio. 95% of your business could be great. The 5% could trip you up. Page 62, these are some of the 5% examples you mentioned. You notice a 4-person table has one chair that doesn't match the other 3. Overhead fans turning at a different rate of speed perfectly prepared meal served on the wrong type of plate. That sounds obsessive, maybe?
No, but that's what makes you successful, is pay attention to the details, which that whole book is about. And I don't care what you do, if you're a husband or a wife or an employer or an employee, it's everything is about the 95-5 rule. And can you do, all of us do 95% right every day we wake up. But it's the 5% you look for in the details that separates you from everybody else. And that's what I preach. Separate yourself from everybody else. You make sure you're better at what you do than the other guy doing your job.
The articles I've read say you're worth 4 to 5 billion. Is that about right?
Forbes comes out again next week, and they say at 5, so we'll see.
I'm talking to the man whose name is on the company. Is that about right?
That's about right.
Okay. You said it was your goal to make it on the Forbes billionaire list. Why?
You know, we all have goals in our life, and that's one of the reasons that I've been successful. But I always set reasonable goals at the time. But you got to remember, years ago, to be on the Forbes list, 400, it was 200 million. Today it's 2 billion. But remember this, okay? Once again, it's separating yourself and trying to grab the gifts that God gave you. I'm not a singer, so I'm not going to win a Grammy. I'm not an actor. I'm not going to win an Oscar. I'm not a football player, so I'm not going to play in professional football. But the way business people are measured one way, and it's sport to me, is could you ever get on the Forbes 400? And that was always a goal of mine. I want to be on the Forbes 400. And so I had that mindset that when it came out 40 years ago, 50 years ago, that I'd love to be on that list one day. And so that's trying to separate yourself from everybody else.
It takes drive.
Takes a lot of drive.
You say in the book, don't give up, don't ever give up, and keep punching.
I think people throw in the towel too soon, and I watch people do it, and I could have thrown in the towel in my early years. But until they lock you out and you can't make payroll of any type, then you just keep punching and punching and punching. Don't ever give up until somebody truly stops you. Everybody wants to quit too early.
So what drove you from owning a single restaurant in Galveston to an empire?
Drive. You know, you feel success and you enjoy it and the competitiveness.
But you know, you're worth 4 to 5 billion. Some people would say, at 50 million, I'm good.
You know, my dad told me after 5 restaurants, after I opened up the Landry's in Kemah, gosh, what are you making? A couple of $1 million a year now, $3 million a year? He said, why would you risk anymore? Why would you, I mean,
I think a lot of people would say
no,
that.
absolutely, but that's what separates us, is this is sport. Why am I still doing this? Is because this is what I enjoy doing every day. Business is sport to me.
Does success and wealth and the trappings make you happier?
I have great luxuries, from yachts to homes to private jets, but that doesn't necessarily make you happy. It's the success in my business that I was able to build that makes me successful. And I talk about in the book, don't ever outlive you trying to be able to grow your business. I've always put so much back into my business, and that's why I was able to grow it. Where I watch a lot of people start making a few dollars and their lifestyle outlives their business and outgrows their business, and then they hit a bump, and then why are you, like, I never had to sell an airplane in tough times. I never had to sell a house. My lifestyle, I never had to sell anything in tough times because I never outlived where I should be living at the time.
Somebody said to me a long time ago, money can't buy happiness, but it sure is a nice down payment.
You know, I will tell you this, and I know people would laugh, and I'll tell you, I've had a private jet. I had a goal that I want my first jet at 35 years old, and I hit it, and I hadn't flown commercial since, okay? But I can tell you this, give me a nice cold room, a comfortable bed, and a good TV, and I could be happy in a 1-bedroom.
You're also, you have the show $1 Billion Buyer. So you're not just a businessman anymore. You have some celebrity status. Do you like that?
You know, it's kind of interesting because when I bought the Rockets, and I think that that's what kind of separates me from a lot of the other owners, is a lot of them buy a team and they get in the public eye and they don't know how to talk to the media and they don't want to talk to the media. I was in the public eye long before I bought the Rockets, and so it really wasn't an adjustment for me. You know, it's got is it interesting that no matter where you go that somebody knows you? Yes. Do sometimes you don't want to take a picture or you don't want to get into a conversation? Yes. But you know what? I'm so thankful of what's happened to me. I'm nice to everybody, and whatever I can do to make somebody else's moment good at that time, I just do it.
The people that work for you, what kind of boss would they say you are?
A really tough guy to work for, but
How?
I would never work for anybody else. So let me say that all together. A really tough guy to work for, but I would never work for anybody else.
Why is that?
Because you always know where you stand, and everybody loves a bull as a leader. And in the toughest of times, I can call everybody into this room, and they know that I'm not going to say we're selling. I'm saying we're doing an acquisition, because in tough times, we eat the weak. We don't get eaten.
You eat the weak. I think that quote will make it on television. You have 4 kids. Have you been as demanding a father as you are a businessman?
No, absolutely not. I've never told my kids to what school they wanted to go to or play athletics or do whatever. Not at all. The one way you can get cross with your kids is try to tell them how to live their lives. And their mother and myself have let them kind of go their own way. And because of that, they all love the business and want to be involved in the business. And none of them don't want to just do nothing. They all want to be a part of it.
And you say amen to that.
Amen.
So here's a question. Your kids are mostly grown. I saw one of your sons. And so I have a 12-year-old. So I want her to be polite, responsible, ambitious. So how have you instilled that in your kids when the fact is they don't have to work a day in their life?
But they do, because I would always tell them, I will always put a roof over your head, but if you want to live well, you're going to get up and go to work every day. And I would probably say, of all my accomplishments, and I give their mother a lot of this, is every single parent will tell you the Fertitta kids are as nice a kids that have ever been over at our house. And you talk to all the people that have met them in sports in the last few years, the reporters, everybody will tell you the Fertitta kids are very, very nice. And I would say that is the greatest accomplishment that we've been able to do, is to keep our kids level-headed.
You talk in the book about keep punching. We mentioned that earlier, and being hungry. So you're on the Forbes list. You're a billionaire, multi-billionaire. Are you still hungry?
Always hungry.
So what's next?
Always looking for somebody to eat.
It feels like
And this is when I get hungry. When you're about to go into bad times and a recession, that's usually when I feast. So I'm always hungry. It's a culture here at our company, and you're always looking for the next deal. And this is sport to us. We come to this office every day, and that's our sport, is to continue to build and be successful.
The hospitality business is one thing. Owning the Rockets is about winning. So are you going to be able to win the first championship in 25 years?
Yeah, I sure hope so. And this is, I'm a realist. And one of the reasons I've been successful is that I've always been a realist. And I talk about that in the book. And the fact is that all you can do is set your team up to be one of the top 4 or 5 teams. And then you need some luck. And you can even look at Golden State. As great as they've been the last 5 years, they won 3 championships and they lost 2, because it takes some luck to win them, and it takes some luck for the other team to win them. And that's all I can do, is set us up to be a good team, and then you need a little luck, just like Toronto got last year. You've got to have a little luck.